Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to go over 2.4. So remember, we have our quiz either on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on whatever day you're in school, but 2.4 is not going to be on the quiz. The quiz is just on 2.1 through 2.3. All right, so I have a couple different problems. We're in our student journal. I'm right here on page 45. There's nothing really in particular on the page, but we can use this page for notes. I have a couple different examples that I want to show you guys. So 2.4, we're going from these little one-step inequalities to solving multi-step inequalities. So I have a couple different examples that I want to use. So here we have, let's do the first one. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's do the first one over here. So I've got P divided by negative 6 plus 7 is less than 9. So the first thing we need to do is think, okay, what's the first step that I need to take here? And in this one, we're thinking, okay, I'm either subtracting 7 first or I'm multiplying by 6. A couple of us still struggle a little bit with what needs to be first. I like to think of it as I'm trying to get the variable on its own. So first, I want to deal with this separate term here. Because if I start by multiplying by negative 6, I'm going to have to affect this 7. I have to multiply the entire side of the inequality by negative 6, and that's a little bit trickier. So really what I want to do is just subtract 7 first from both sides. Great.
Sarah over, please come back to the student office.
Yeah, you can tell that I record these at school. All right, so we're going to subtract 7 from both sides, so I get P divided by negative 6 is less than 2. All right, now remember, I subtracted 7, but I didn't multiply or divide by a negative, so I don't need to change the sign for this step. But now I have, okay, P divided by negative 6. So here I am going to go ahead, I'm going to multiply by negative 6 here on both sides. Okay, I know these cancel out, but before I go ahead and write out either side, I do want to say, okay, I'm multiplying by negative 6. So I'm going to go ahead and change my sign here from a less than sign to a greater than sign. Whenever I multiply or divide by a negative number, I need to switch that sign. Okay, so now I have P is greater than negative 12. All right, I don't need to do anything else. That right there is my answer. If I was asking you to graph these, here, you could write it out like this. You could have your little number line. Sometimes it's easiest just to put the number you're talking about right there in the middle. And then 2 or 3 numbers to either side is good. So we could have negative 11, negative 10. Here on the other side, negative 13 and negative 14. I know I'm using an open circle. And then I know, okay, greater than negative 12. So these numbers are greater. And then just make sure to have my arrow here on my number line. Right, so now let's look. I have another example. For the second example, I have an equation where I've got variables, not an equation, inequality, where I have a variable here on each side of the inequality. All right, so it's very similar to when we're solving an equation with variable on both sides. You want to get the variables over on one side. So we have a 6y and we have a 2y here on the other side of the inequality. I want to go ahead and move the 2y over. I want to subtract it from both sides. Okay, if you're trying to decide which one, it doesn't really matter. You should come up with the same answer either way, but the math usually works out easier if you subtract the lower number. Okay, so 6y minus 2y, I get 4y minus 5 is less than 11. All right, so now I just have a 2-step. So minus 5. I know the opposite of that is to add. Okay, I want to deal with this separate term first, just like in my first example. Okay, so add the 5 to both sides of this equation. All right, I end up with 4y is less than 16. All right, I'm multiplying here by 4. Okay, so I'm going to divide here by 4, divide by 4. And we know since it's a positive 4, not a negative 4, we're not going to change our sign. So we're just left here with y is less than 4. Okay, that's that final answer. We can go ahead and put this on a number line. Okay, we can just go ahead and make 4 there the middle number. Just have a few on either side. We know since it's just less than, not less than or equal to, it's going to be another open circle. And then think about what numbers are less than 4. It says y is less than 4. So 2 and 3. Okay, over on this side, we're going to make our line. And again, always put your own little arrow. All right, now we have a couple examples where we have different types of solutions. So with equations, we can have no solution or infinitely many solutions, and we can have something similar with inequalities. So let me show you here. All right, third example, I've got 8c minus 3 is greater than 4 times 2c plus 3. Okay, so first, just like in an equation, I want to go ahead and distribute out my 4. Okay, so 8c minus 3 is greater than, here is 8c plus 12. Okay, just like in the problem I just did, if I have a variable on both sides here, my inequality, I'm going to try and subtract, so move them all to one side. So I've got 8c right here. I'm going to subtract 8c from both sides. And here that cancels out this 8c and this 8c. So I'm left with negative 3 greater than 12. Okay, it's similar in the equation. We've now canceled out our variable. So now you have to think, okay, is this inequality true? Okay, is negative 3 greater than 12? No, it's not. So here we get no solution. Right? If I ask you to graph something that's no solution, the graph of a no solution, oh, that should be a 1, would just be a number line. Okay, just a blank number line with nothing filled in because there's no numbers that satisfy the inequality. All right, so then here for our very last example, we've got kind of the opposite. So let's do 2 times 5w minus 1 is less than or equal to 7 plus 10w. All right, we can distribute out the 2. So I get 10w minus 2 is less than or equal to 7 plus 10w. All right, so I want to subtract. I'm trying to move this 10w over, so subtract 10w from each side. So I end up with negative 2 is less than or equal to 7. All right, now don't be tempted to treat this like an equation and think, well, negative 2 is not 7 and throw out the answer. It's saying, is the inequality true? Okay, so is negative 2 less than or equal to 7? Yes. So when the inequality is true, we don't use infinitely many solutions. We say all real numbers. Okay, which if you want a way to shorten that, you'll see that as a big R sometimes. Okay, all real numbers or just R. So the way we can graph all real numbers, okay, we just take a normal, I don't know why I want to make the first one too. Okay, take a normal number line. Okay, and instead of leaving it blank, when it's all real numbers, you shade in the whole thing and you draw a little arrow. Okay, because you're saying every single real number on the number line is going to satisfy that. All right? So go ahead, 2.4 assignment. We're only spending one day on 2.4, and you're either taking your quiz on Monday or Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day that I see you. All right, so good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.